Welcome back to the very last part of my 2024 makeup collection and declutter series. In this video, we're going to be tackling my eyeshadow palettes, and I have a lot, you guys. We have some up here, we have one here, we have some here. They're just pretty much everywhere. The first ones that I'm going to be doing are my mini palettes. Now, usually I do the mini palettes in a separate video, but because I just have so many, and this time I wasn't trying to upload, 25 days in a row, and so my time was a little bit less. I'm going to go ahead and tackle everything in one video, so this is going to be a big one. These last three rows here are drawers. This one, and this one are palettes. I have palettes up here, and then these here are like most of my indie brands. Everything else here is archive. I have shown pretty much all this stuff in a previous video, which I did last year. I'll link that down below in case you guys want to see that. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna tackle the mini eyeshadow palettes first. Starting with my mini palettes. Now, first of all, total count. All of my palettes, mini palettes, singles, full-size palettes, everything included, I have 143, which is actually really good. That just goes to show you I really did not add that much this year. I didn't put myself on like a low buy or a lower buy or anything like that. I don't officially say I'm on a low buy because if there's something I want to buy, I'm going to get it, and I don't want to feel guilty about it. But I will say that I intentionally did not buy as much makeup this year as I have in the past. I had a bunch of debt that I was trying to pay off. I wanted to focus on paying off debt. I had some financial goals, and I hit every single one of my financial goals, and I'm very excited about. So going into 2025, I will be purchasing more makeup. Also used up a bunch of stuff. So this year I didn't really buy a whole lot. So 143 for me at the beginning of the year with mini palettes, big palettes, everything together. It's actually really, really good. We're going to start with singles. This is all I have right now. So we have two liquids. This one I've almost used up. This is from the Tarte and Revolution collection. I got this out of an advent calendar. You guys, this is the prettiest 24 karat gold. I have loved this one so much. It is almost used up. This one I just got in my collection. I don't know the shade name. I can't read it, but this is one of the Revolution highlight. Oh, wait a minute. This is liquid highlighter. Never mind. This is a liquid highlighter. Let me move this one to the highlight drawer. But I did get this one out of an advent calendar this year. I thought it was an eyeshadow. It's actually a highlighter. Let's move this to the right drawer. So that means I have 142, not 143. And then we have these two are singles. This one I got out of the Peanuts Gang and Profusion advent calendar. This is actually really pretty. It's a cream eyeshadow. It is so pretty. I've actually been enjoying this one. This one I got out of a mystery box. I haven't actually used it yet. Lucid Dream Super Soft Shock Shadow. This is Ultra Glitter. You know what? I'm going to, if I can speak English, swatch this one because I haven't actually swatched it yet. Okay, that's pretty. We'll be keeping this one. I probably won't be pulling this one until like later on the year for Halloween or something, but that is pretty. So we're going to hang on to that. Moving into the mini palettes, let's start with this little stack first. I don't know how many of these I'm actually going to declutter. Some of the stuff may go into my archive, which is like all of the collectible makeup that I like to keep for packaging and stuff like that. These four are from AOA Studio. These are the Yummy's debut palettes. There were four of them in this collection. They're so cute. We have Eye Smiles. I will be keeping all of these. I think these are so pretty. AOA Studio is a Korean beauty brand. Oh, fan club. I think this one is actually the A+, but it's from Shop Miss A. And then Trainee. So pretty. And then we have Aegyo. I hope I'm saying that right. But yeah, I'll be keeping all of these. I'll try to make this go as quick as possible since, we are in the eyeshadow palettes and there are a lot of them. We have these two from Kiko Milano. I've held on to these for so long, but they're so pretty. This is from the Dolce Diva collection, and this one is from the Festival Glow Back on Stage eyeshadow palette. This one is in Stylish Coral. This one is in Green Country. Sadly, they don't really ever make the palettes in the squares, but I have found that the quads in this packaging are just the best formula. Let's see. Let me see. Is it still performing? Yes, it is. We're going to hang on to that. Let's see if this one is the same, because I have had these for a while. Yep. Super creamy. Look at that. Like I said, I find that the ones in the other packaging just doesn't perform as well. Oh, These are gorgeous. We have the Nude Eagle palette from BH Cosmetics. This is the Unleashed and Wild. It's the green palette. I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. And the main reason is because I have greens and other palettes that I'm just going to pull. This one I don't really ever pull. It is a beautiful palette though. And then we have from Melt Cosmetics. This is the only Melt Cosmetics palette I have. This is the Bad Side Zodiac collection. The water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. I love this. I got this one obviously because I'm a water sign. If you guys aren't aware, I'm a Pisces. That's the main reason why I got this one, and the same reason why I got this one. This is the Aquamarine from BH Cosmetics. This one I'm going to archive. I bought it strictly because of my birthstone. The year that BH Cosmetics did this, each month they released a palette specifically for that birthstone. It was a really, really cute collection. So of course I bought the Aquamarine. This one I think I'm gonna go ahead and keep in the collection. This is really pretty. This one we're going to declutter. We're going to do this next stack. This is mostly Colourpop and Natasha Denona, like the quads or quints. We have Colourpop in Smack. Do I want to keep hanging on to these? I've had them for so long. Yeah, I'll go ahead and keep that one. I'm going to declutter. Do I want to declutter this one? Oh, Lord. Like I said, I've had them for so long, and I'm like, as long as they're still performing, I don't want to declutter them. Yeah. Keep that one. And this one is really pretty. This is like an everyday neutral palette. I need to pull these out more. This one isn't Melt for You. Look at that. Yeah, I have got to remember to pull these out more. All three of these are gorgeous. I am going to clutter both of these. I got them out of advent calendars. They're from Wet n Wild. The color icon palettes are really pretty, but I just never, ever, ever, ever use these. And I mean ever. And I've had them for at least a couple of years. We have Patalette. I have no idea. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and declutter these. These three are from Natasha Nona. I'm going to keep these. These are the only Natasha Nona palettes that I have. I think I got every single one of them out of BoxyCharm. We have Cupid. And then this one is Jubilee. And then this one is Peak. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hang on to all three of these. Now for this stack. Inventing Room. You guys, this one is so pretty. I got this out of a Willy Wonka advent calendar. And it is gorgeous. These mattes are buttery smooth. These shimmers are absolutely stunning. I will be hanging on to this one. These three are newer to my collection. These two came out of the Peanuts Vanity, and this one came out of the Advent Calendar. This is the Peanuts and Profusion Sweater Weather. This is a gorgeous quad. I will be hanging on to this one. These as well. Happy Holidays. This one I haven't used yet, the 'Tis the Season palette. It still has a plastic on it because I had done a green palette, a green look, using one of the other palettes, so I decided not to use this one. So I haven't used this one yet, but this one is gorgeous. I'm assuming this one will be too. These three are the Nomad Travel palettes. I will be decluttering all three of these. I love Nomad, but I just don't have use for these smaller travel palettes. We have Abu Dhabi Zayed, probably saying that wrong. It is a really pretty color story, but I have these shades in the bigger palettes that I'm more likely to pull. Canadian Rockies. And then this one is Osla Garden Moen. I hope I'm not just slaughtering these names, so I am going to declutter these three. We have four more from Colourpop, and then these two are from ABH. These four, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and archive. I've kept these mainly because of the packaging, and I think this is the third year that I've had them in my Declutter series. I don't ever use these, but like I said, I kept them for the packaging. We have Cocoa Cutie, Cherry Sweet, Pineapple Cake, and Teeny Keeny. These two are from ABH. Were these the first ones? No, I have another palette that was actually my first palette from the brand, but these are the mini versions of their OG palettes, the Modern Renaissance and the Sultry. I don't have the full size palettes. I've never owned them. They came out way before I was ever into makeup, but I did want to try these. I thought they were really cute. Now, the Modern Renaissance, honestly, this one does really nothing for me, and I have these shades 1,000 times over. I'm going to declutter that one, but I do love this one, the Sultry. These tones are so pretty. The shimmers in here are stunning. I'm going to hang on to this one. We're down to my last mini palettes, and then we'll be moving on to the bigger ones. All three of these I am going to declutter. These two are from AOA Studio. These are part of the Fly With Me collection. These are all shimmer palettes, and they're pretty. There's nothing wrong with them, but I just don't use them. I have shimmers in other, palettes that are shades pretty much exactly like these, and I'm more likely to pull. So I'm just going to go ahead and declutter these. This one I got from the Dollar Tree. I got it for a trying new makeup from Dollar Tree. And this palette, it's okay. The color store is pretty, but the formula is just atrocious. There's no pigment to this. The shimmers in here do absolutely nothing. It's just not a good palette. And I'm not going to say it's because it came from the Dollar Tree. I have used many makeup products that came from the Dollar Tree that were absolutely beautiful. Some of them are still favorites. This just wasn't it. And then I have my 3 Oden's Eye palettes. I think these are Quince. Yeah, these are. I will be keeping all of these. We have the Alva 2. We have the Verdandi. And then we have the Alva 2 Mini Sky. Well, I mean, this is the Mini Sky Alva 2. And then this one is, both of them are Alva. And this one is the Mini Forest. Hanging on to both of these. Or 3 of these. That's it for the mini palettes. Let me gather and collect the big palettes. We're going to do those by brand, and then we will continue on. Let's start with Colourpop first. These are all of the 9-pan monochromatic palettes, and I have a couple over here as well. First, we have Wild Child, which I will definitely be keeping. This is one of my favorite warm neutral palettes. If you are someone of a deeper skin tone, this will be like the perfect neutral palette. Before we jump too heavy into this portion, this is probably going to be mostly a collection more than a declutter because, as I mentioned before I filmed the mini palettes, I just didn't purchase that many new palettes this year. We have Blow and Smoke. I will definitely be keeping this one. And then we have Just My Luck. This one is actually a newer one. I did have this palette originally, but this one was a newer one that I got in mystery box. So I just decided to go ahead and just switch them out, keep the newer one and declutter the older one because I do love this particular color story. And then we have Baby Got Peach. This is such a pretty, just everyday springtime color story. The shimmers in here are really pretty. And then we have 2 blue palettes. First we have On Cloud Blue. This is a newer one. I also got this one in a mystery box. And then this one is Blue Moon. I've actually done a look with both of these palettes combined, and it was really, really pretty. We have some more 9-pan palettes over here. First, we have The Child. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, which is one of the reasons why I got this one. But this color story, even if it was not Star Wars related, I still would have gotten it because it is such a pretty color story. And the formula in here, like this shimmer, gorgeous. And then we have the Mandalorian palette. I have the other Star Wars palettes as well. One more in this group, and then the rest of them are in my archive. Love this one. And then we have High Tide. To me, this was such a gorgeous, unique color story. These are all teals, just different shades of like greeny blues. Gorgeous, gorgeous formula. The shimmers in here are stunning. Then we have Little Ray Sunshine. This is a really pretty warm, yellowy brown color story, and all of these are mattes, just like this one right here, which is the Big Poppy. This is more of a warm orange, but both of these are all matte palettes. And then we have my last Star Wars palette. Like I said, the rest of them are in the archive. This is the C-3PO palette. And the one thing that I noticed when I got this one is that it's pretty much an identical color story to Little Ray of Sunshine. They just changed some of the mattes to shimmers. Both of these are pretty, and they're really, really good companion palettes. So yeah, we're keeping all of the 9-pan. I don't think I'm going to declutter any of these. I don't think. Let's see. These are, I'm not sure how many are here, 12, 15 pans, whatever, but these are a little bit bigger. With a limoncello, I will be keeping this one. This is a perfect summer color story. The green, the yellowy gold shimmer in here, the tones, perfect for the summertime. And then we have Lust for Dusk. It's a very, very pretty spring color story. This shimmer right here, Quiet Storm, is gorgeous. This one I think I am going to declutter. This is the At Forest Sight from Raw Beauty Christie. I do like it. Actually, you know what? I think I am going to go ahead and keep it. The evergreen shade in here, it is just stunning. So yeah, we're going to keep this one. And then we have Sweet Talk. This one, I think I am going to go ahead and declutter. I have had this one forever. This is one of the very first palettes I ever owned. I have loved this one as far as spring tones, but the Baby Got Peach one I like more, and I do have some newer palettes in my collection that have these really pretty peachy tones, and a couple of the shimmers in here are actually glitters and not shimmers. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and finally let this one go. Now for our larger palettes. First, we have Stone Cold Fox. I will definitely not be decluttering this one. This is the perfect cool tone color story. I was someone that didn't think that cool tones would look good on me until I got this palette, and it is perfect. All the cool tones you can think of as far as the mattes and stuff, perfect in the cooler months. The wintertime, love this one. And then we have It's a Mood. This is another one that I love. This one is more colorful. Mattes, shimmers. Some of these shimmers in here are just absolutely stunning, like Wanna Go, For a Night, beautiful. And then we have your Golden. See, this one replaces a lot of the shades that are in here, and I'm more likely to pull this one than I am this one. This little pop of blue, though, I love how you have all these little neutral palettes, so sometimes we'll have like just a random pop of blue, but it is a really pretty color story. The mattes in here are really pretty. The shimmers in here are really pretty. And then we have Smoking Hot. This one was newer to my collection. I just added this one like a few months ago. There's some really, really warm tones in here. The shimmers in here are really pretty. You have some mauvey pinks. You have some oranges. You have some taupey shades, just a nice array of tones. All right, let's do Oden's Eye next. I believe this is all of them other than the 3 mini palettes that I showed you at the very beginning of the video. First, we have the Soul Mane 2. I will definitely be keeping this one. Very pretty summery, spring going into the summer type of a color story. And then we have the Norns. This one I know that she reformulated and repackaged with the squares. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. This one is okay. It performs decently, but if I'm going to keep it, I would rather have it in the newer packaging with the reformulated with the actual squares as far as the pans instead of this one, because this is, I think, one of the first ones that came out. So I am going to go ahead and declutter this one. These two are newer to my collection. I got both of these out of mystery boxes. I've been enjoying both of them. First, we have the Merry Christmas. This was either last year or the year before, the Christmas palette. My only complaint about this one is I feel like a lot of the tones in here are kind of random, like the poinsettia red shade, right? I don't really have anything other, maybe this one, that I can blend into it. I just kind of feel like there are a lot of mattes in here that just don't really kind of blend together. But as a whole, it is a really pretty palette, and the shimmers in here are really, really nice. And then the little Ghost palette. This was one of the collaborations with Angelica Nyquist. I pulled this one out during Halloween, and I really do like this one. I think this color story is so pretty. There are a lot of shades in here that I haven't had a chance to use. Like, I haven't used this one yet. The shimmers in here, I think I used almost all of them, and they're so pretty. This one I'm going to declutter. It's funny because I actually decluttered this one last year and then pulled it back into my collection because I wanted to give it another try. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and declutter it. This is the Alva, and this is also like in the circular pans. This is one of the first palettes that came out with the brand. I have a similar color story in another palette, in other palettes, and I'm more likely to pull. And like I said, I did declutter this one last year, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back in a declutter pile, and that is where I was going to stay this time. Let's do some Profusion next. First, we have the Petal Palette. This one I am going to declutter. It's a 35 shade palette. This was, their spring release. I love the blushes that came with the collection, but this particular formula, it's okay. It's not a favorite. I like the one in the actual portfolio, which I will pull and show you that one too. But yeah, it's okay. I do like the roses in there. It kind of reminds me of the, Physicians Formula brand, but as a whole, it's just not something I feel like I need to keep in my collection. This one is Artistry Portfolio, and I will most definitely be keeping this one. This one, just as it states, is a full portfolio. Let's see if we can get it in the full frame. I think this is the best we're going to be able to do. We have eyeshadows over here. We have contours and bronzers, highlighters, water activated liners. We have correctors on the top, and then on the bottom here are blushes, both matte and shimmer. And I love this palette. I took this on vacation over the summertime, and you guys, it is so beautiful. The shimmers in this palette are stunning. There are a couple of pressed glitters in here that I don't use. I'm not a pressed glitter person, but it's a beautiful formula as far as the mattes. This was the first time also that I'd actually used a water activated liner. I'd never used one before, but I wanted to try one. So this time, or rather in this palette, was the first time that I'd ever used one, and it was fun. The correctors in here, this is the only one that I've used, which is the peach. But overall, as a whole, I think this is a really good product, and it was only $25, and it's still available. So if you guys are going to pick this up, I suggest getting it. I think it's a really, really good product, and everything you need is in one place. And then the last palette, or bigger palette from Profusion. This is the newest one to my collection. I just got this one. This is the Snoopy Starlight Holiday 41 Shade Eye and Face Palette, and that is exactly what it is. There's a mirror over here, and then you have eyeshadows in the middle, and then we have bronzers, blushes, and highlighters. And I have to say, this deeper bronzer right here worked really, really well on me. I thought this was a really, really good palette. I really like the formula. My main reason for getting it is because I'm a huge Snoopy fan, but I just thought overall, this whole palette was so pretty. I have 3 of their 10-pan palettes. First, we have Euphoria. This one is so pretty. This is great during the holidays or during Halloween. Their 10-pan palettes are actually really good. The formulas are really good in them. Then we have the rubies. I would be keeping this one. This one I'm on Declutter. Once again, like the Oden's Eye palette, I had decluttered this one last year and then pulled it back in because I wanted to give it another try. But I haven't used this once the entire year since I pulled it back in. So I'm going to go ahead and re-declutter it, and it's just going to stay decluttered. I love green. Green is one of my favorite eyeshadow colors to work with, but I do have other palettes with greens in them that I'm just more likely to pull. I'm not really going to pull this one, so we're going to put this one back in the declutter pile. I have 2 palettes from Juvia's Place. If you guys recall, those of you who've been watching me, I kind of got to where I wasn't really fond of the older Juvia's Place formula as far as the eyeshadow palettes anymore, so I pretty much decluttered every single one of them. The face products I love, but the older eyeshadow formula I just wasn't really liking. These are the newer ones. I got this one in a mystery box. This is the Candy Shop. It's a more pastel color story. First of all, the artwork. This color story, you guys, it is stunning. The mattes are so buttery, so smooth. Even these like more pastel-y shades are pigmented. These shimmers are stunning. This palette is what made me fall in love with Juvia's Place eyeshadows. Again, at least the newer formula. This is so pretty. And then because of this one, I decided to pick up the Coffee Shop. And you guys, another beautiful palette. The color story, it's a very kind of a cool, neutral, some warm tones in here. Just gorgeous. The mattes are smooth. They are buttery. The shimmers are just shiny, wet looking. This is one of the most prettiest kind of neutrally warm palettes I have ever used. I am so impressed with this newer formula from Juvia's Place. I'm looking forward to seeing what they launch in 2025. Just very, very pretty. Very impressive. Let's do the elephant in the room next. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Shroud Cosmetics. Shroud, their formula is gorgeous. I was introduced to them through Batty Bean. She was Butte Bean when this palette came out, but she is the reason why I even know who Shroud is. But sometime during this year, I don't know what happened, but she just, not Batty Bean, but the owner of Shroud just stopped posting, stopped talking. They stopped posting on Instagram. You would email them, message her, whatever, no response. Betty Jean herself tried to contact her, no response. So I don't know what happened with that. And it's really sad because it is a really good formula. We have the 2 collaborations that Batty Bean did. This one is It's Freaking Bats. This is the first one. This formula, you guys, it's stunning. Then we have Hollow Bean. And then the last one is Moonfall. I'm going to pull these out of my main collection, mainly because, like I said, I don't know what happened with the owner. And so I don't want to like be using these and like promoting the brand, but they do have memories, and I'm going to keep them, but I'm going to put them in my archive, just take them out of my main collection. Then we have just a bunch of kind of random ones. First, we have the Black Widow Ulta. I'm going to put this one in my archive as well. This was part of the Marvel Black Widow collaboration. I do like this palette, and the formula is really pretty, but I don't really use it. I have other palettes that I tend to pull more, and I got this for the collection because I'm a huge Marvel fan. I love Black Widow. So I'm just going to pull this and put this one in my archive. Then we have the Gay Bestie palette. This one is from a guy, his name is called JC Camarillo. He is a smaller kind of a micro influencer, and this was his first palette. This came out maybe 3 years ago. I thought this was such a cute concept. You open it and it speaks to you when you open the palette.
Hey, Brad. You're gonna slay this look. Today is your day, so everything and anything you do is gonna be amazing.
You can get the palette where it says that. You can also get it where it doesn't have the box in it at all, so it doesn't speak at all. I do wish that he gave you the option of just turning it on and off, but the color story, or rather the formula in here, you guys, it is so pretty. It's very buttery. It's very smooth. The shimmers in here, like this gold right here, come through gorgeous. This one is a very, very tiny micro glitter formula. I'm not really a huge glitter person, but this one is really pretty. So if I'm gonna pull a glitter, it would be from this palette. But I don't ever use this one anymore. I have so many other neutrals, like the one that I got from Juvia's Place, the coffee shop palette, that I'm just going to pull more. But I don't want to declutter this one because I think it was such a good launch. So I'm going to go ahead and archive it. From Moira, we have my Time to Shine Celestial Series palette. I will be keeping this one. I love the box that it came in. It has the wings. I will say that I'm not fond of the thick block kind of packaging. I wish that it just came in like a regular, thinner palette, but the formula is really, really pretty. The color story is gorgeous. Gorgeous mattes, gorgeous shimmers. I will be keeping this one. It has started to start pouring down rain outside. So nice. So lovely. We have the Crown Pro palette. This was the very first palette I ever got from BoxyCharm when I first started my channel. So I got this probably 3 months after I started my channel, and I am now, I think, at the end of my 5th year almost. It is such a beautiful palette. It has done me so well. I have loved it so much. But you know what, you guys? I think I'm finally going to go ahead and let this palette go. I have gotten so many other palettes into my collection that have very similar color stories to this that I don't pull this one anymore, but it has such fond memories. I have loved it, but yeah, I think it's time to say goodbye. Then we have from LA Girl. There was a label on the front, but it got warped and then just fell off. But this is a green and orange palette. I don't even remember what the name of this palette was called. I love greens. I love oranges. This is such a gorgeous formula. Best of both worlds. So I will be keeping it. From Sugar Pill, I actually sort of decluttered this one, but I wanted to give it a little bit more of a try before I decided if I wanted to just go ahead and give it up. This is the capsule collection. Does Sugar Pill even exist anymore, you guys? Are they still launching new products? I don't know, but I know that they did an entire series with the capsules, and I have loved this. These shimmers in here are so pretty, and that's where I'm just kind of, debating, which makes this so hard. I don't really use the palette much as far as the mattes, but the shimmers, you guys, they are gorgeous. And I think just for that one reason, I'm going to go ahead and keep this for like another year. We'll see what I do with it. And then if I still haven't used it, then I'll go ahead and declutter it. What I may do is depot and then put them into a magnetic palette just so I have the shimmers that I want, and then declutter the rest of it. We'll see. Over here, we have like another random stack. First, we have the e.l.f. Chipotle palette. I'm going to put this one in my archive. This was such a really good collaboration. The color story in this palette, you guys, it is so pretty, and the shimmers are stunning. The way that the layout is, it's designed to look like, the Chipotle, like the back where they have like all the different ingredients where they put the dishes together. And then instead of the shade names being here, they're on this little plastic cover. So if you don't keep this, then you're not going to have the shade names. I have loved it. I thought this was such a fantastic collaboration, but I don't really ever use it. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this in my archive so I can keep it forever and ever. It is really coming down outside, man. From Beauty Gems. So dusty. My drawers are just so dusty, you guys. I need to clean. I got this one from Ulta. This is an $8 palette. I just wanted to give it a try, and this is so pretty. These shimmers, the mattes in here, when you consider this palette was $8, it is one of the most beautiful formulas I've ever used. I will be hanging on to it. I like to have affordable options in my collection. From Zoeva, we have the Spice of Life. This one, I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter. I have loved it. It has made it through a few declutters, but I don't really ever use it anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass it on. We have our last little group here. These two are from Violet Voss. I'm going to keep the Sun Kiss, but I am going to go ahead and declutter the Sakura Blossom. Those of you who have watched my declutter since I first started my channel, this has made it through every single one of them. I have loved this packaging. I love this formula. It's one of my favorite palettes ever in my collection, just because I love cherry blossoms, Sakura blossoms. But the reality is this palette just doesn't perform the way that it did when I first got it. The shimmers are just not as wow. The mattes don't blend as well as they did in the beginning. But this was one of my absolute favorite palettes. I loved it so much, but it's time to let it go. This one, like I said, I am going to keep. This is the Sun-Kissed Summer palette. The color story in that Oden's Eye palette that I'm decluttering, is it Oden's Eye? Yes, Oden's Eye. This is basically the identical color story, and I like this formula more. Very hot. It's a glitter formula, but it's so smooth, and I love it so much. I'm going to hang on to this one. And then the last one in this group, this is from ABH. I kept the box because this is one of those palettes that has like the velvet cover on it, kind of like, the original Sultry Modern Renaissance. This is the Fall Romance palette, right? Yes, Fall Romance. This was the very first ABH palette I ever purchased, if one can believe it. I've been in makeup for the past 5 years, and I never purchased an ABH palette before this one. I did get the two mini Modern Renaissance and Sultry palettes afterwards, but this is the only ABH palette I have. I don't know, I just have not been interested in trying any of the other ones, but this one, this color story, oh my God, it screamed my name. So rich, so deep, and these shimmers are stunning. I will definitely be hanging on to this one, and I'm looking forward to trying some more ABH going into 2025. Let's move on to Blend Bunny next. I have 7 palettes, and I'm going to be keeping all of these, so we're just going to go through these real quickly, and I'm going to show you what I have. We have the Blend Bunny all done up. This one is just a gorgeous, grungy, fall-themed palette. We have the Lure, which is kind of a Mermaid Siren color story. You have Sugar and Grunge, which is a really pretty kind of a pastel neutral palette. The Primal, this one, she doesn't actually make anymore. She discontinued it. I think it was supposed to be a fill-in like for the Blends palette, so that whatever you're missing from the Blends palette, you would have in this one. I don't think it's sold very well. I'm not sure, but I know that she discontinued this one. This one is no longer available, but it really is a pretty color story. And we have the Sickly Sweet. Now, this is the first time that she did the layout different, where it's not the columns and then all the shimmers across the bottom. This was a little bit more chaotic. Honestly, I'm not very fond of this layout, but that's just me. I'm used to the way that she was doing the layouts before. It's a more pastel color story. I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one, not because it's a chaotic layout, but because honestly, I feel like these shades are not very pigmented, and you just really, really have to build to get any pigment on the eyelids. I feel like this formula is just not the same as the one in the other palette, so I am going to go ahead and declutter this one. The Dollhouse palette. This one is a really pretty, just soft, neutral palette. I love this one during like Easter time, the springtime going into summer. The formula in this one is really pretty. And then my last Blend Bunny palette, this is the Blends. This is an all matte palette. It's just a really pretty matte rainbow palette. I love this one. I will pull this one out when I'm using other palettes and I just need a color or shade that I'm missing out of that palette. That's usually when I pull this one in. The formula is really pretty, pigmented, very blendable. Love it. I have 3 palettes from Ace Beauté. Currently, the brand is reformulating or rebranding rather. And so like everything on the website is on clearance. I don't know what she's going to be doing in 2025, but I know that it's going to be different than what has been on the website now. So these palettes are probably not going to be available anymore, but I will be keeping all 3 of them. I love them. We have the Tropical Vibes. This is a really pretty, just grungy palette. I love these grungy greens, these grungy yellows. The shimmers in here are really pretty. Then we have the Oceanic. This one is just a mixture of greens and blues. Once again, gorgeous shimmers. And then the Mystic Romance. It's gorgeous romantic tones of reds and pinks. This shade right here is a little bit weird, but the rest of the palette is beautiful. From Sydney Grace, we have the Tiny Marbles palette. This was a collaboration between Sydney Grace and Mel Thompson. Sadly, Mel Thompson isn't with us anymore. I think she passed away, was it 2 years ago? Time has just been flying, but she was such a gem in the beauty community. She is greatly missed, but this was her baby, and this color story and formula, it is beautiful. This is my first ever experience with the Sydney Grace formula, and this is stunning. These shimmers, just gorgeous. These two are my Sephora Pro palettes. I will be keeping both. First, we have the new nudes. This is a gorgeous color story of peaches and pinks, and there are browns in here. And I love that both of these palettes come with these little booklets. The booklets kind of give you like different looks that you can put together and how to do them. So I guess it's one of the things that makes them pro palettes. And then the other one is the Smoky Jewels. This one is deeper tones. We have rich greens, rich browns, there's some blues in here. The shimmers in here are also stunning. I will be hanging on to both these palettes. I love these palettes. We have one more random palette, and then we're going to be doing my BH Cosmetics. So the random palette, this is from Malibu Glitz. It is the Sweet Dreams 35 color beauty palette. I love this one. I got this one off of Shop Cherry, I think it was. It is so pretty. This shimmer, caramel, and then the one sherbet, they are stunning. This formula is pigmented. It blends so well. These shimmers are super shiny. I love this palette. Now we're going to move into BH Cosmetics. BH Cosmetics doesn't exist on its own anymore. Now it's part of Makeup Revolution. So their independent website does not work anymore. You have to go to the Revolution website to find the products. And most of the products are still there. So the brand does exist. It's just not on its own anymore. Because I think they filed bankruptcy last year and then Revolution bought them. So we have the Nude Ego. This is such a pretty palette. This is one of the reasons why I went ahead and decluttered the Sweet Talk palette from Colourpop, because you can see I have a lot of those tones in here. Then I have 3 other Sweet Shop palettes. This right here was one of the best collections that they launched. We have the Orange Sorbet, Cherry on Top, gorgeous pinks and reds, pistachio, gorgeous greens. The shimmers in all 3 of these palettes is stunning. And then we have the Naughty palette. This is my favorite palette from the brand. I think I've had this going on 3 or 4 years. I love the fact that it looks like an ugly Christmas sweater. The formula in this palette is one of the best that BH Cosmetics has ever made, in my opinion. Candied fruit and spicy are the most gorgeous shimmers. The entire palette is so pretty. All the shadows in here still perform really, really well. I mainly pull this one out as like Christmas decor, but it is such a beautiful palette, and this will forever stay in my collection. So let's do Beauty Bay next. I believe I have 9 palettes. First, we have the Earthy palette. This is a 42 color palette. The year they launched this one, they had like several palettes, like different color stories that were 42 pan, 16 pan, 9 pan. This one, you guys, is stunning. I've mentioned before that I love green. Green is my favorite shade of eyeshadow to work with. And as you can see, we have all the greens one can imagine. There's also some warm tone oranges and reds down here. The shimmers in this palette are incredible. Lime, as you can see, I think you can tell I've used that one the most. It is so beautiful. Then we have, I think these are 18 pans, 16 pans. The first one is Reckless Romance. I will be keeping all of my Beauty Bay palettes, just so you know. That's the Reckless Romance. The Botanical Love Notes. This is the prettiest, softest, romantic springtime palette. The Wilderness. This is the first palette I ever got from Beauty Bay, and it is beautiful. Gorgeous jewel tone greens, these grungy and mustard yellows. And we have the Age of Opulence. Very pretty jewel toned purples and blues. Jazz is such a stunning shade. So is Crush. I love this one. Hopefully I'm getting everything into frame. The Tropical palette. This one is a very pretty pink lemonade kind of a palette. Very similar color story to the Oden one that I decluttered. This is one of my favorite ones in my collection. I think it is so pretty. The Fiery Mattes. This one is an all matte palette. Oranges, browns, very, very pretty. And then my last Beauty Bay palette, this is Lost in Los Angeles. This is a really pretty, first of all, little artwork up there. Very pretty pastel, and the shimmers in this palette, or the mattes, first of all, are super pigmented. Even though it's a pastel palette, they're very pigmented. The shimmers in here are stunning. I will be keeping all of these. Our next group, these are all of my Tarte palettes, and I only have 3. I will be keeping all 3 of these. First, we have the Tartelette palette. This is such a pretty, soft, just lovely springtime palette. First of all, this one smells like cookies. First of all, this one smells like cookies, but the tones in here are so soft, so blendable. They're perfect in the springtime, going into the summer. Still love this palette. And then we have our 2 Man-Eater palettes. I was hoping that they would launch a 3rd one this year, but they didn't. First, we have, this is the Man-Eater After Dark. I think this is such a lovely, rich color story. And this one's the Man-Eater Nightfall. This one is softer. There are some jewel tones in here, kind of like a more holiday palette. We have 2 from Revolution. This one is the newest one to my collection. I got this one in my Revolution Black Friday haul. There was a gift with purchase. This was one of the things that was in that gift. I love the Bridgerton kind of themed packaging here. This is the Forever Flawless palette. I have not used this one yet. I just got this one. But it's so pretty. I love the roses that are embossed in some of the pans. I can't speak on this formula yet. Like I said, I have not actually used it yet, so I don't know what it's going to be like. But color story wise, it looks really, really pretty. This one, this has been a long time favorite. This will not be leaving my collection. This is the Kombucha palette. I love oranges, warm tones. As you can see, there are different shades of oranges in here. There are pinks in here. These blushes, so pretty. Perfect pumpkin orange. The highlighters are really pretty. I will probably never give up this palette. And then we have my Glamlite palettes. I have 4. First we have, this is the Ice Cream Dream. This is another palette I will never declutter. This has been a long time favorite. I think it's maybe a couple years ago that they launched this palette. This is the perfect spring going into summer. All of the tones in here are pretty pigmented, even the pastels. These shimmers are some of the most beautiful shimmers I've ever used. Lemon and strawberry cheesecake. Oh my God, those are insane. So shiny, so wet looking on the eyelids. Just, this is such a gorgeous palette. And then we have the 2 that I have from the cocktail collection. I'm thinking about getting the brown one. Is that the Martini palette? I think that's what that's called. Chocolate Martini or something. I'm still debating. I don't know if it's available anymore. So that might be a mute topic if it's no longer available. But these are beautiful. That was a really good collection. And I feel like everything that Glamlite does now is in collaboration with a cartoon or a movie or a band or something. They've gotten away from what what they used to do, the food themes, gorgeous collections like this. I hope that they get back to that in 2025. But this one is the wine palette. This is such a pretty color story. Chardonnay, stunning. And then Dirty Martini, gorgeous greens, beautiful shimmers. This one, the Earthy palette. I mean, these are just some of the reasons why I gave up the palette from Profusion and went ahead and just decluttered the emeralds. And then we have the Kiss palette. I bought this one for the collection, and I'm actually going to put this one in my archive. This is the box that it comes in. It's so freaking cute. And then, see if we can do this. You have the band and the inside. This is a little card that came with it. And then this is the palette. I think this whole packaging is just so cute and just so great for like Kiss collectors. Palette, little shifty cover. And then our color story. Now, I love this color story, but what I will say is that it's so dark. When I say it's so dark, when I tried to put a look together with this, I feel like because the shades, all of them except for a few, are just so dark and grungy that the look kind of gets muddy and it's really hard to get any real depth. I have to bring in other palettes to blend with this one. But as I said, I bought it for the collecting reasons. So I'm going to go ahead and just archive this one. We are down to my last group, and these are my Nomad palettes. I have 18. As many of you guys know, Nomad, I'm on their PR list. They're the only brand that PR list that I'm actually on. I don't know if I'm going to be on the PR list for next year. They haven't actually said anything to me yet. Hopefully I am, but if not, I will still be buying the palettes because I think they're such a good brand and the formulas are so beautiful. Let's start with these are the larger palettes. I think these are 18 pans. I But let's start with these and then we'll, actually, you know what? Let me start with this one first because I only have one. And this is the 9-pan palette, Home for the Holidays. This one is an all shimmer palette except for this black matte, which I always thought that was kind of weird that we would just do a full shimmer and then just put on a random black. But the shimmers in here are really pretty. I really only pull this, if I need a shimmer that I don't have in any of their palettes. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out of my main collection because I don't really use it. I mainly have it just for the outer cover for like holiday decor. So I'm going to put this in the archive and just pull it out of the main collection. Now for the 18-pan palettes. First we have the Ireland Wild Atlantic Way. This was the Ireland themed palette. I love this kind of Kelly green velvet cover. It's so pretty. And then this color story, you guys, stunning. I love green. It's another green palette to add to my collection. The shimmers in here. This one, Dia Duit. I know I'm probably saying that wrong, but that is gorgeous. So is Ring of Kerry. This entire color story is stunning. I'm gonna try to go through this pretty quickly because I can sit here and talk about these palettes all day long, but we don't want to be here for the next 20 years. So we have, this one is Keys, Beachy, and Peachy. This was themed after the Florida Keys. If you're unaware, the Nomad their palettes are themed for like different destinations, which kind of makes sense, because their brand is called Nomad, but this is really pretty. I don't think I'm going to be decluttering any of these, but we'll see as we go along. I have decluttered a few of them in the past. We have Ghost Town USA. This is a Halloween themed palette. This is one of my favorite formulas. This green Calico California is stunning. These shimmers are very creamy, very rich, very smooth. Love it. The other Halloween themed palette, this is the Haunted Europe. The color story in this one is a little bit more rich. Mary Cemetery, Boogeyman, Hoska Castle, gorgeous shimmers. Then we have the Monte Verde palette. I love the little sloth right there. This is a bright, colorful, more tropical theme. Toucan is a gorgeous bright yellow. And then the last bigger one, this is Verona Amor e Morte. This is the Love and Death palette. It's kind of a Romeo and Juliet theme. This one opens up this way. Mirrors on either side. We have the love side and then the death side. I thought this was such a cool concept for a color story. Now for I think these are 15 pan. We have the New Zealand Stargazing. Some of these, you guys, I actually kind of forget about because I have so many that I end up not thinking about them. This is our kind of a spacey themed palette. These shimmers. Milky Way, Southern Cross, Jewel Box. Stunning. I've got to pull this out more. The Cartagena Magica. This is one of the very first Nomad palettes I ever got. This is before I was on the PR list. Unfortunately, this one has been discontinued, but it is so beautiful. Gorgeous oranges in here, pinks in here, yellows in here. I hate that they discontinued this one because in my opinion, this is one of the most beautiful palettes they ever launched. Then we have the Fire and Ice. This is from Iceland. Blues, greens, northern lights, Valkyries. Two of the most stunning shimmers in this palette. The Tokyo Hirajuku. I think this may have been the very first palette that I ever purchased from the brand. I just think the theming is so stinking cute. Japanese Hirajuku. This one is a pastel palette. They have since kind of like changed the formula and tweaked it since, but these shimmers are still super silky, super shiny. The mattes in here are still pretty, still blendable. I will continue to keep this palette. The Hudson Valley. This is the most perfect fall themed palette. You have your oranges and browns on the cover, the pumpkins, and these tones are so gorgeous. These deep, rich shades. I do wish there were more shimmers in here, but this is just, in my opinion, the perfect fall color story. We have the Royal Europe. Well, first of all, this raised kind of a die cut cover. Very pretty jewel tones. These are, I don't think they're multichromes. I think they're duochromes. They're so pretty. Here's my thing when it comes to duochromes and multichromes. I don't really wear them that often, and I'll tell you the reason why. When I put a shimmer on, if I pick a shimmer to put in my eyelid, the color that I'm looking at, that's what I want in my eyelids. But when you're doing a shimmer that's a multichrome or a duochrome, you can have the shade in the pan that looks one way, put in your eyelid, and it looks completely different. And honestly, I'm not a huge fan of that. That's why I usually just use shimmers that are just, one tone, not multi or duo. but these are stunning. This one was the newest launch, the holiday launch, the Polar Express. And this was themed after the movie, The Polar Express. I think this packaging, the cover is so cute. To me, it looks like an old-fashioned kind of an art painting. And this formula is so pretty. We have these icy shimmers over here, silvers, whites. All the shades in the middle here are gorgeous. I think this was such a beautiful palette to end out the year. Then we have the Chicago Speak Easy. This was another palette that was launched this year. I kept the box for this one because the packaging is velvet. I just want to kind of keep this one as pristine as possible. This was another gorgeous color story. These are also multi-chromes. So freaking pretty. We have, this is the America's Parks. I'm actually debating on if I want to hang on to this one or not. The shimmers in here are okay. They're not some of my favorites. And this is a palette I don't really tend to reach for or think about reaching for. Considering the fact that I know Nomad's going to launch a lot of beautiful new palettes in 2025, I think I'm going to go ahead and let this one go. I want to make room for things that are going to be coming in. We have two more. We have the, what is this one? The Whistler Snow Lodge. I really, really like the kind of icy wintry theme with this one. Black comb is stunning. Powder Specialist is gorgeous. All the shimmers in here are beautiful. These rich mattes. I love this one. And then one of the other newer launches from this year, and this one is actually one of my favorites. This is Mount Fuji. Fuji 5 Lakes. This cover is canvas. It looks like a canvas painting. It is stunning. It feels like a canvas painting. It is gorgeous. And the color story. Now, I will say that I don't feel like these mattes were as pigmented and smooth and blendable as some of the other palettes that I've used from the brand, but it is a beautiful color story and these shimmers really are pretty. And just because the cover is so stunning, I will be hanging on to this one. For my final count, and it took me a minute, I had to go back and re-add and recalculate and recount because I got some of my numbers mixed up. The total for all my palettes, mini, large, singles, all of that was 142. I decluttered 21. I archived 13 and I kept 108. So not like a huge declutter, but like I said, I did not add a lot of new palettes in my collection, so I wasn't really expecting to declutter that many at all. That is it for my makeup collection and declutter series for 2024. If you enjoyed it, please try to give the video a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, you are not already subscribed, I would love it if you would consider joining my little family and hitting subscribe. Make sure you tap the bell so you don't miss a thing, and you can also follow me on my other socials. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Be safe, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.